You're muted. Still muted. It's always something. Always something. So if you know us, then you probably know us well, and you know that on occasions we have technical difficulties. But anyway, welcome. Hopefully, you just got done watching the Democratic National Convention with us. My name is Tiffany Linnell, and that is Alex Haynes once he gets back in.
I'm here.
He is. Welcome.
Welcome to election 2020.
To election showdown.
I really thought it was never going to come. Let me just start there.
No, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. I don't even want to go back, and we don't have to recount, because we did this in 2016.
Yes.
And then hung our heads for the next 3 years. Unfortunately, though, here we are, election 2020, and the Democratic National Convention has begun. It kicked off tonight, totally virtual, something that is completely new for the Democrats, something that has not been done before. And it's something that we're not going to see next week. So we'll be following the RNC as well. We're not going to see that next week. So
it came out.
I heard. Listen, some people believe science and some people don't. But this is where we are, and this is what we have. And so tonight we saw the Democrats put their best foot forth, because I'm gonna assume that what we saw tonight is the best of what we're gonna see. And so I think the level, it's the best level of what we're gonna see. I think we've got some better days ahead of us. We're gonna see some more speakers. I do think that hopefully the singing gets better. And I'm not. Of course, in this lane, we've got to be totally honest, because there's one truth here, and that is voters will be honest at the ballot box this November. That's just gonna happen. They're gonna vote honestly. There's one caveat. In 2016, we had a number of people that voted for Harambe, a number of people that voted for Hennessy. As a Hennessy drinker, I've never been more disappointed in a country.
People don't do that.
So as we move forward and push forward in election 2020, now this is all about you, right? I think one of the things right before the convention tonight, I was at a small celebration and having a really passionate conversation with somebody that is new to the electorate. So I think one of the problems, and we'll talk about that tonight. If you were watching tonight, we want your comments. We're using the hashtag Showdown 2020, so you can be a part of this conversation. It's definitely going to be a showdown. It's already going down. Like one thing, and I think I'm happy we are doing it this way, because one thing, a lot of people aren't just candid with people about what's happening, how it's happening, and how people are feeling. But I think it's first and foremost most important to talk about how pissed off people are. So, I mean, and that's on both sides, right? You have people that are pissed off because they feel like the country's run amok. And then you got people on the other side that are totally pissed off because they feel like they've been ignored for too long, and their problems and their pain has been ignored for too long. And so I think all of these things are gonna come to head. What I love election season, because people that have never voted before get the opportunity to do that.
A new generation that gets the opportunity to do that. And I think
often, I'm just going to say, often new generations really don't start voting until they have a reason to, right? Like, and we talk about this often. People don't find a reason to get involved in the politics until it starts to affect them directly.
Right.
Right now, everything's been affecting everybody, whether it's the pandemic that people are ignoring. Like let me just say that's the most responsible thing to do. The pandemic is not over. It's not done for. It's not finished. It's something that's really happening right now, and you need to just be, regardless of your political beliefs. There is a global pandemic right now. you know.
Yeah, period. It's affecting everyone. It doesn't discriminate on race, creed, religion, beliefs, policies. It doesn't care. It's impacting everyone everywhere. And I think we saw a lot of that tonight too, as, you know, the theme for tonight seemed to be we the people. We the people want to see this. We the people need that. We the people are going through this. We the people are going through that. And I
We
think
the people is really a part of what this country says it's built on.
well, that read the government documents that founded this nation. Yes, it's. I think so. Let me ask: do you think that that is, in a sense, the campaign's way of getting back to the basics?
I think in a lot of ways, I saw a number of things, and I think we'll talk about that throughout the night. But one of the things that I noticed immediately is that they put patriotism first. Yes. They put the tenets of this country first. And that's the main thing that if you listen to, and we'll be listening next week. So we will be able, after that, we'll have a full analysis and we'll be able to analyze. But one of the things that you hear often from the GOP and from the current president is that the Democrats they hate this country. They hate God and they hate Christians. And they kicked it off with a prayer and a song about the country and focused on what the country is about. And so I think where people get confused is when like it really, we're in a place right now where people kind of watch news that makes them feel good. As somebody that's worked in news for all of my adult life, I think the most important thing to say is that news is news. And so you can choose to consume it from wherever you want. But once news has manipulated the facts, if you've got some type of alternative facts or some alternative truth, that's not news. That's opinion that you're getting. And I think there's been a referendum on truth and a referendum on just honesty. So I think that like people are going to vote their conscience and vote issues that are related to them. But it's most important, a lot of people aren't going to tune into these to this convention at all or into these speeches. You know, people are not here for a lot of the fluff and a lot of the BS. So I think the time, and we're going to pick that apart, but I think we live in a really like a soundbite culture. And you know, and we call it a headline culture. I try my best, and we try to stay away from things that just click on this so we can trick you into reading something. Like, no, I really want you to see and hear the truth. And so hopefully we can jump into that a little bit tonight. I guess let's get opinions and thoughts out of the way, feelings out of the way. How did you feel when you when things kicked off?
I did think, I'll be honest, I did think that it was a little bit of fluff at the beginning, but I also think that it included a lot of, like I said, we the people, the stories. And so I really did see the campaign focusing on the stories from across the nation. They really took advantage of the opportunity of this convention being digital and feature people from across the country. And so I thought that that was very important and very good, and a very good strategy at that for this type of convention. I thought that it was pretty well done. And I thought that it was a very diverse group of we the people stories, and then had kind of some featured stories in the midst of that. So I think that it was a very well balanced interfaith, interbelief, interpolicy program that they really did do a good job putting together for opening night. So I'm interested to see what the rest of the week looks like. But I do think that they are off to a good, well balanced start. So we'll have to see what the rest of the speakers have to say. I did find it interesting, but not surprising, that they had some lifelong Republicans come in and speak on Joe Biden's behalf, especially Ohio Governor John.
I don't think that was too crazy. If we go back to 2016, and there were like 27 Republicans running for president in 2016. Mm-hmm. Like, for people that weren't paying attention or didn't care, and all of them hated Donald Trump, like all of them. right now we see all of them like bowing down to everything that he does. But we saw some of those Republicans coming out and saying, listen, it's very American to vote what you believe. And it's very American to vote your conscience, do what matters and do what you feel. And so in 2016, these same people that were on the stage, and it's like, we know how politics works, but these people really, really, really did not like that man then. And a lot of them, like you've just seen, like, I don't really know. And this was totally unprofessional. I'm going to tell you the first things that I noticed, which I think the first one was the young lady that spoke about her dad and his pre-existing condition being Donald Trump. And then she's like, he's dead. I was like stunned, like, oh wow. Like that was the moment that if you could say, I'm working, right? But the moment that I checked into this conversation was when she said that my father's pre-existing condition was Donald Trump, and he's dead. And I think that like that hit a lot of people. Like I started getting text messages at that moment. I think people were falling asleep. And I'm not saying that it was boring. I'm just saying I know where people are. The second moment for me, like I said, very unprofessional. But whenever I see the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, I think of Saturday morning cartoons. And this takes us back to like, those don't really exist for the kids these days, but Bobby's World and Bobby's mom. And she said, don't you know, I just can't, it just I'm a real clown. So those are my real feelings. Michelle Obama, of course, she's one of the most dynamic speakers in the country. So I think she brought it. Bernie Sanders had me actually looking at him a little bit differently. I do think, and I said this to you, I know you didn't think I was going to say it here, but I think that he played with God a little bit when he said, as long as I'm here.
He definitely
and I was like, sir.
We both looked at our TVs like, now wait a minute, sir. Don't do that.
Okay. Let's not tempt greatness, okay?
Let's not do that.
But there were a lot of speakers tonight, and I can't say it's similar to the ways that this was done, at least where we were working in 2016. We're going to analyze a little bit of what was said and how it went down.
Yes, hopefully we don't have the same results as we did in 2016, because I just remember leaving the studio very disheartened and in dire need of.
And then that wasn't my truth. And I think a lot of people don't remember, or they just weren't, like Donald Trump has also brought a lot of people into politics. That could be good for him, or it could be really, really bad for him. I know people that are like, I need to know everything. And I want me to explain. I'm like, I'm not going to explain, 18,000 plus lies. I'm not going to do that. But, I will be watching next week, because the thing about, and people tune out the other side. And I think if there's anything I would say is that during this election cycle, you should tune in and listen to what other people's issues are. Sometimes their issues are their issues because they are, I'm going to use the word ignorant, not in an offensive way, but they just are unlearned. Those are my two words to explain non-education. They both sound rude, but if you are unlearned, you don't know. And so when you don't know, you make assumptions. When you make assumptions, I'm not going to say that, but you know what I'm saying. So let's not do that. But I think it's important to listen to the other side. It's important to know what the other side is saying. Sometimes it's hard to stomach, especially if they are spewing hateful, racist, misogynistic, offensive, sexist lies that you just don't agree with. But you have to hear what people, if that's the only news that they consume. Or on the other side, sometimes things are just way too, wait a minute, okay? Everything can't be free.
Right. How are you going to pay for that?
Everything can't be free. So there's so many assumptions that are made, like women vote like this, Black people vote like this. And what we know is that people aren't monolithic. People are going to vote their conscience, and people are going to vote what they feel, but they also vote what they know. And so it's so easy for people to be swayed when they don't know information. So the goal of this entire broadcast, will be here after every night. That will be here. So the goal is really to just get you information and bring you up to speed. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to get painful. It's going to get heated. Nobody else is calling it a showdown, so we own that one, okay? Hashtag Showdown 2020 if you want to jump into the comments. And we'll chat with you, Tip. I'm gonna let you take us to the next slide.
Okay. So again, don't forget the hashtag Showdown 2020. But we had a couple of correspondents, fortunately, that were covering the DNC 2020 convention this year, and quite a lot of speakers. So on the roll tonight, we had, like I said, We the People, a lot of stories from across the country in America, but we also had Senator Doug Jones, Representative Gwen Moore, former Governor John Kasich, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, as Alex just mentioned her, Representative Jim Clyburn, Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Amy Klobuchar, and of course, our forever First Lady, Michelle Obama.
And it's going to be all these long names all week.
All week. It's a full week of Senator this, Representative this. And these are just the highlights, people. So make sure you...
So they actually have been there all day. I mean, well, they're not together, but...
You know, all day. Like, this is an all day thing. So for those who are not aware, if you have not checked out the DNC website, 1, highly recommend. 2, there are trainings, there are council meetings, there are caucus meetings, there are behind the scenes, there's behind the rhyme, there's all kind of events. It's literally an all-day thing. And because, again, it is digital, the convention is taking full advantage, and they are making a lot of these events and meetings open to the public. So you can go and register to take these trainings, to join these meetings, join the council, listen into the caucus meetings. So this
ain't nobody doing all that.
I mean, I did, but you know,
and nobody's doing all that. But we will break it down. I promise we will. And if you miss out, of course, our reporting is always at blacknewsalerts.com. Always. Okay. That said, let's bring in our correspondents and
Lydia, greetings. So Lydia had the pleasure of covering a couple of those long names that we just listed out tonight. So Lydia, why don't you give us the rundown on who you were able to catch tonight and what your thoughts were and some of their highlights? You're muted, Lydia.
Hello. Okay. So the first person I was able to get was Congresswoman Gwen Moore. I felt like her opening remarks were really straight to the point, and she was very energetic. I mean, she gave me hope during her introduction speech, and she started off with a message of gathering. And talking about Milwaukee. And so she stated, Milwaukee takes its name from the languages of the first peoples, interpreted as good land and the gathering place by the waters. So I'm assuming she's talking about Native Americans and the history of Milwaukee. And then she goes into saying, we gather unified in spirit, unified in our values and purpose to heal divisions, and together move the nation confidently into a prosperous, inclusive future. And of course, she goes on with this unified theme of the night. And then she goes on to support Biden and Kamala Harris as his VP.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you heard her talking unity, do you feel like right now we are in a unified space as a country?
Absolutely not. I do not. And because of this administration, I feel like they promote the divisiveness that we're in right now. And it was good to hear those words come out of her mouth, because like I said, it gave me hope. I mean, in the space that we're in right now as a nation, it was just nice to hear those words, that positivity, that others out there still had hope for us, because right now it just doesn't feel like it.
That's interesting. Where we haven't heard, it seems like, since we lost a little, well, some of us lost a little bit of our hope in 2016, but interesting that maybe we've come full circle.
I thought it was really interesting, and just to that point on unity, Michelle Obama really hit a point for me where she said, you know, at every turn he places blame at every single turn, and so I thought about it, right? Like when you think, well, American presidents have had a history of not necessarily wanting to accept responsibility. We have seen them, at least in my lifetime, take responsibility for something. And there is one, that's just one thing. But it's not surprising because it's we know what we bought. Okay. Who else did you get to cover tonight?
I also was able to cover the former governor of Ohio, Governor John Kasich, as well. I feel like this was an anticipated speech that he gave, only because earlier today, Donald Trump did kind of bash him a little bit for being a Republican that has now kind of turned over to the Democratic ideologies pretty much. So, and in his speech, I thought it was kind of clever that he was standing at a crossroads while stating his speech. And he basically said, you know, I'm a lifelong Republican, but that attachment holds second place to my responsibility to my country. And that's why I've chosen to appear at this convention. In normal times, something like this would probably never happen, but these are not normal times.
True. And to that point, you have Donald Trump, a one-time Republican, calling a lifelong Republican a traitor.
Is that irony?
Make it make sense.
Someone's math isn't math.
We're all learning. And so I think when you heard Governor Kasich speak, what were your thoughts then?
I was really interested because, you know, just hearing his words and knowing that he is a Republican and that he is supporting some of the Democratic ways, I thought it was great, and I felt like he opened the door for other people to be more open-minded. You know, I definitely agreed with some of the things he said, and hopefully it brings more Republicans not over to the Democratic side, but just open-minded to the ideas that we have and that, you know, can be supported and don't have to be so divisive.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Me too.
Well, I think
for me to hear John Kasich, because most of my family is still in Ohio. So I think you're right. I think it was anticipated, and I know it was anticipated. They've been talking about John Kasich switching sides, so to speak, for a minute now. So I think that he was definitely one of the more featured. I've been a lifelong Republican and I'm switching sides, but this goes back to, Alex, what you were talking about with the putting patriotism first. So I think that was definitely a key feature in his speech.
I mean, honestly, how could you not? Like, yeah. I think that at the time where so many people are hurting, one of the things that they kind of focused on the post office and they started to talk about some other things. But we hit 170,000 people from this country that have died at this point. And so I think it's so easy to be desensitized by numbers. People that work with numbers every day, maybe if that's your job, you're just like, oh, it's another number. But a lot of people aren't like that. People close to them are gone. These were people that had livelihoods. They had homes and children. And I like to think about like material things that they had. They left cars and bank accounts. And, they left everything behind. And they didn't have to go. Like the argument that people had to die, I mean, people die every day, does not work for this when people did not have to die. And there are places in the world that they are not dying because of leadership.
I think that's what really gets it at this point, is that we had a choice. There were choices in this.
We still have choices, actually.
And we still have choices. There are better choices that could have been made to prevent us from being where we are as a country. And that, I think, is just one of the most disappointing disgusting facts at this point is that we're just losing lives and stacking cases upon cases upon cases
Left
when
and right.
we know that we can at least do something about it. It's not perfect. It's not a vaccine, but we can help. And people are just refusing.
Lydia, did you get to cover anyone else?
Yes, I also got to cover Senator Doug Jones of Alabama. So he kind of shined a light on the advancements of civil rights in Alabama, in the South, in his earlier days, and then his history of knowing Joe Biden for 40 years. And he, quoting him, he said, "Alabama has shown me that even in our deepest divisions can be overcome because each of us wants the same thing, to be treated fairly and given the same opportunities and freedom to live with the dignity and respect." And I feel like this quote right there just speaks to everything that the country is kind of going through right now. You know, it's no longer the South with these civil rights issues. It's the country, and it's been the country since the beginning. But, you know, he kind of just pointed out that, you know, people are tired of it. People want the freedom and want the opportunities that we so fondly talk about as America. But, you know, some people in this country don't get to see those freedoms. And, you know, it's time to put someone in office that can really make it fair for everyone in the country.
I don't know that I could have said it better.
Yeah. Quick non-professional point. Is that the one that quoted John Lewis and then did like a little shoulder shuffle?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't help but take notice of that. And I said, was that a little
Alabama on full display? That's what that was.
Right.
Move your feet.
That is the South on full display. Said, no complaints.
Do your little shuffle then. I can't be mad at it. Awesome. Thank you, Lydia, for that awesome coverage. Any last thoughts on the convention tonight?
I appreciate all the positivity that everyone had to say tonight. And I just hope that they continue that throughout the next couple of nights.
I got one question for you before you go, Lydia. Do you think that they are doing what they can do to reach people? Do you think younger people should be tuning in this week? I think that they have, I believe that they have set some things up that will reach people if they watch. Mm-hmm. But there's a number of people that just don't even know that it's happening. And that's, you know, I think both sides are counting on that. After watching tonight, if you weren't working, would you share the convention with someone else? Would you invite them back? I'll be asking the same questions next week too, but.
Right. But yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like they do need to be doing more to get the word out there. Because I feel like this convention and the convention next week are the only ways you're going to know what people stand for and what to vote about. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people's names, some people, if it's not Trump or it's not Biden, you know, other people, other representatives, you know, you really don't know as a regular person what they stand for. So I feel like they need to use social media more because that's what young people, the younger generation is using to get their information. So if they use those outlets more, people will be more informed and they'll feel like they have a say in what's going on.
Agreed. Thank you, Lydia. All right, Tiff. So there we go. That's one side, and that's we dipped in a little bit.
Yes.
Let's keep going.
Okay. So we have another correspondent of ours, Miss Kenya Miller. Kenya was able to cover, I believe, Clyburn. You know what? Why don't you just let us know who you were able to cover? I want to mess it up.
Okay. So, yes, I was able to cover Representative Jim Clyburn tonight. One thing I want to go back to is what you and Alex said, that there was a lot of fluff in the beginning, and it reminded me of this tweet I saw one time about Joe Biden, how they said that he was going to nostalgia us to death, because that's kind of, you know, when I first got into it, it was like, it was nostalgic, yes. So speaking on Jim Clyburn, I do want to say because I'm a Virgo, you know. On the more emotional side of things, I really did feel the passion in his voice. Like when he was speaking, I'm real sensitive, so like I kind of almost he almost brought me to tears a little bit. But you know, he mentioned the church shooting involving Dylan Roof and the 9 elderly people that were killed. And he stated that the ground beneath him in South Carolina is embedded on white supremacy. So one of the biggest things about this year's election for me is to see reform, police reform, and a change in social injustice. And this being my first time voting, this you guys actually mentioned this that the younger generation doesn't really vote like that until they're starting to really feel directly impacted about what's going on. And I know I'm 23, so don't judge me because I could have been voted, but I really wanted to ensure I really want to ensure that I vote for someone who is dedicated to abolish systematic racism. So, in the midst of all the political unrest happening in America right now, and all the while fighting a global pandemic, it is extremely important that we as a people, make sure the next person we pick to run the country for the next 4 years is going to do that. So, what Mr. Clyburn was pretty much trying to ensure is that Joe Biden is the right man to be the next president for the United States of America. And in his words, he said, "We know Joe, but most importantly, Joe knows us."
That's a good quote.
It was.
I think that you've kind of heard that theme a lot as well in some of the folks that were talking about Joe and they know Joe and all of that and how down to earth he is and about taking the train or something like that and all of that. You mentioned systemic racism. What does abolishing systemic racism look like for you? What as a new generation, new voter, what does that look like for you? If you could give one or two things for this next leadership to do, what would that look like?
Well, the one thing I would say is for it to hold, you know, like government officials and everything accountable. I don't want to name any names, but to hold people accountable for the things that they do, like while they're in office, like the crimes they commit and everything, because, you know, some people have gotten away with crimes that they should have been held accountable for. And now that's just one thing. Another thing I would say is, again, the like police reform. There's just, again, it's all about accountability for me, honestly. So I just feel like that can be one thing that can be addressed with systematic racism is holding people accountable for the things that have happened in this country.
I think that kind of takes it back to going back to the basics again, because there seems to be an issue in this country of holding people accountable.
Is there?
Yes.
I see, and I think this is why we have to have the conversation. Because 4 years ago there wasn't.
I think and maybe I'm looking at the bigger picture, because in my mind, we've had a history.
So my picture was small.
We've had a history of burying history and not holding people accountable. Christopher Cole,
we don't. I think we ignore the things that we want to. And because we don't bury history. 9/11. There's outrage because they want to cancel some 9/11 memorials and tributes because due to a global pandemic, and people are outraged. They don't want to forget it.
I think
they don't want us to forget the Holocaust. And that wasn't even here. They don't want to forget the Civil War. The South doesn't want to they don't want to forget the Confederacy, but they always want to forget slavery.
It depends on whose history we're talking about.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. That's not an American thing. That's a deliberate decision that is made. It's deliberate. And so
The system is working the way it was built.
Because it's not broken.
It's not broken. It's working the way that it was built. And we have heard that over and over and over again for the last few weeks, few months this year, and beyond that in different circles. The system is not broken. It's working as designed. And that's the overall problem.
I think Clyburn, I'm glad I just wanted to say to Kenya, I was glad that you were able to cover Clyburn. He was a really instrumental piece of Joe Biden winning South Carolina. He really carried the state and he's been instrumental just with his passion and his message. And I really believe it's his truth that resonates with people. And I think that he has the ability to connect, whether you're young or old. And I think that is one of the pros. I think nostalgia is one of the things that people are going to criticize Joe about often. Because when me and Barack, Barack ain't here, okay? And so it's you. And now it's you and Kamala. And you and Kamala got to show us something that we don't have right now. And a lot of people, and I think they understand this, are just they're taking Joe and taking Kamala because they have to. And I'm not like, this is not, I'm not giving opinions. I'm just giving generalizations. People are at this place where they wanted something dramatically different. You know, some people say that Obama was just so terrible. They wanted something drastically different. But honestly, people said the same thing about George Bush. And they claim that's why that Obama got elected, because people wanted change. And yes, we can. And people believed it. And so I think at the crux of what we're getting at, people need to believe. They have to believe that Joe and Kamala are here and they're about what they say they're about.
We'll have to touch on that some more in a bit, because I think believe in them. Believe is a really good key word for this electoral year. But I think that when you really think about belief, there are a lot of people who don't even believe in the electoral system. They don't believe that their vote counts. They don't believe that if I stand in line for 6 hours that I'm not going to face voter suppression, that if I do request my absentee ballot that I'm going to get it in time to even be able to vote, or that they are going to actually leave the USPS drop-off box that's been in my neighborhood for generations, and now all of a sudden it's being picked up. So I think that belief is something that has to be ingrained. And I think you're right. That includes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris really digging down into certain policies and helping people to bring back that belief.
Agreed. Kenya, who else did you have?
So I also got to cover Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Now, she started off by saying that our current president calls her that woman from Michigan, which I actually found funny and not shocking, because as you see, like if you've ever been on Trump's bad side, he's going to have a funny nickname for you. So she mentioned some things that Obama and Biden did during their time in office when Biden was just the vice president. And she basically said about how they pretty much saved the country for what would have been, like, I guess, another Great Depression. And as we all know, in 2009, Obama and Biden did inherit the economy in a terrible condition. And in her words, President Obama and Vice President Biden didn't waste any time blaming anyone or shirking their responsibility, and they got to work. So she mentions how they also saved auto workers' livelihood and the auto industry as a whole when they were brought together to make medical equipment to fight the coronavirus pandemic. And on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, Governor Whitmer says they will lead by logic and science and not by politics and ego. So, I mean, that sounds like somebody we all know to me.
That part. There, someone else. I feel like I heard that a couple of times tonight, that we need someone who will believe and lead according to science, and not just. I don't even actually know what to call that. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But I feel like that I heard that a few times this evening in different speeches as different speakers focused on the pandemic and the economic turmoil that we're going through across the country as folks really begin to still deal with the impacts of COVID-19 and the pandemic. So I agree with you, though. I think when she said that woman from Michigan, I said, oh, starting early. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Come on with it. Sure.
I mean, I think that conspiracy theories and people believing in conspiracy theories is not new in America. And it's also fueled by, dare I say the word again, ignorance. It is a lack of information and a lack of knowledge. And also, I think a broken education system. I think that people, you know, I stand for the states' rights and the ability for states to teach on different levels. But when do we start paying attention to where America is? Tiff and I talk about this all the time. We work a lot together, and we talk about often that America is number 27 globally. 27. That means that if you happen to be raising your child in Mississippi or Alabama, where you're down there at number 49 and 50th, that's 50th out of 27. And so
27.
My point was, America has always believed in conspiracy theories, and if you look through history and just kind of look through other elections, there's a lot of paranoia that has reigned in American politics, and then that paranoia trickles into elections, trickles into parties, trickles into communities, trickles into governments, and then you start to believe narratives that are not true. And I think part of your job is as somebody that consumes information. And so I'm not anti anything. I just consume a lot of information. Like what the stories that you're fed and the way that things are packaged. And yes, even the media at times has had the ear of some of these conspiracy theorists and politicians. And so some of these narratives and ideals have been perpetuated. So it's really it's the people that have to say enough is enough. Like the people have to literally, and so what they don't want you to know is that you can make a difference. And if there's anything that I'm doing towards this election, aside from encouraging people to vote, is letting you know how old you need to be to run for office.
Right.
You don't have to be old. You know, and I said this on my show last week. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying it here. But Obama spoiled us, okay? Or America. Obama spoiled America. And so 43 times America has elected old and white. 43 times. And that's not, I hope that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. It's not racial for me. It's 43 times this country chose old and white. And then all of a sudden they chose young and black. So there are people that are voting now and for most of their educated life, you know, like from the age, if you were age 10 when Obama got elected and he left office when you were 18, for the most of the time that you were having educated conversations, Barack Obama was your president. So you assume that anybody that looks like him could be president. Unless your education system failed you. And you don't remember that 43 times America chose old and white. Not to derail you, Kenya, but I think that these things are what we have to talk about, right? You have to be 25 years old to run for the House of Representatives. That's it. And an American citizen. And 30 to run for Senate.
I think a lot of times people think you have to be on this political path in order to run for representative, run for different offices. You don't.
You could be a barista at Starbucks and get pissed off and decide that you are 26 and you are running for your district, and you could do it. And you don't have to get all of those people that voted for the opponent. You just got to get people that haven't voted ever before. Get them to believe you. And I think, this is the type of conversation that gets me pulled off the air, but it's also the truth, right?
I mean, these are just facts, though. You have, and I think that, we had a conversation last week where we talked about what's needed in going into this electoral year. We need education. We need empowerment. We need these things during this election year because it's enough is enough. It's just time for diversity. It's time for something other than old and white and male. It just is.
Let's not make that a thing.
I'm not trying to make it a thing. These are facts. That's a whole different show.
Okay. Kenya, did you get to cover anybody else tonight?
Not fully. I got to I just have a little bit to say on the chairman of the Democratic National Convention, Representative Benny Thompson. He didn't say much, but he did do an introduction, and I'm sure he might have more to say as the week goes by. However, his energy in the beginning, it was pretty cool since he got to kick it off, and I just want to congratulate him as chairman of this year's Democratic National Convention, because I'm sure trying to organize this event during a pandemic was challenging, but nonetheless, to me, it was a phenomenal production, and I am excited to see what the rest of this week has in store for us.
Okay. Me as well.
Likewise. Thanks, Kenya.
Thanks for stepping in. All right, so night one.
We had some heavy hitters. We had Bernie Sanders.
I'm going to tell you some of the comments that I was getting, right? So a lot of people are... pomp and circumstance works, okay? America listens to sound bites. America believes sound bites. I am not going to say that America is... I am going to say it. America is very basic, okay? Very, very basic. It's a very basic place, very basic principles, very basic, like... It just is what it is. And so the thing about Donald Trump is that he is a media mastermind. He understands media. He understands TV. And so he also thinks in TV. He thinks in ratings. He talks about it all the time. Did you see how many people that were watching me? He's going to be at the RNC every day, which is unprecedented. He's going to be there every day. I cannot believe I have to get on here and talk about him every day. He's going to be there every day. He's going to be there every day because he loves the praise and the attention. And that's what drives him. But that excitement also drives his base. And so I think I was chatting with a friend during the convention, and he's like, that excitement, he's like wishing that the Dems would have at least put 100 people in, somewhere social distance so that we could hear the applause. And I wanted to respond like, you need the applause. I know that's where we are. And so I think that's a valid point because we could really be missing it in some ways. Some people may not be connecting with it. The narrative that's coming from the RNC is that Joe is Sean Hannity was on, Fox News did not air the convention. They aired Sean Hannity and had the convention down in a small box. Now, if MSNBC, which we know Fox leans one way, MSNBC leans the other way. CNN is accused, depending on who they're favoring at the time. But anyway, it was in a little box, and I've heard him say this a couple times because I do what you got to do. I got to listen to everything. But right. Sean's one. He's like Papa Joe. He's only answered 34 questions. These got to know what's there. 34. Sean says that Joe Biden has only answered 34 questions since March. Period. 34 questions from people total. That's a talking point. The second, he said he reminds them of an old papa that needs a nap every afternoon in his hot cocoa. And so they're painting. I'm going to laugh if something's funny. You said what?
A Sleepy Joe reference, really?
It is masterfully placed together. But if you're somebody that is entertained by, and maybe your life hasn't really been affected by Donald Trump. I ask the question oftentimes, what has Donald Trump done to you specifically? Now, some people can really name, where he gets them. Some people are just mad about his rhetoric. They think he's reckless, or he doesn't fit the role of president, or he doesn't have. So people are all over the place. But I think these are conversations that are worth having, and conversations that we all need to have. Whether you are leaning left or leaning right, you should be having conversations and understanding instead of just getting mad and cutting people off because you found out that they voted for somebody. Like, the only person I'm cutting off is if you tell me, that you are friends with George Zimmerman on Facebook. Like, that can get you cut off in my world. But other than that, like, your politics are your politics. All right. We had Sophie Robinson was also covering the convention. Yes. And she's going to share with us some of her observations. Sophie.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Well, I'll start with Bernie since you were just talking about him. So he started off very strong, saying that first that we're in a very unprecedented moment in history from not only the pandemic, but the economy that's going along with it, the problems with climate change, the systemic racism that we're still fighting, but also that we are, that our leader is becoming an authoritarian leader. So that's something that Bernie, brought up multiple times, saying that all of these unusual or unthinkable things have become normal under this leadership. And as a way to motivate his supporters, he, excuse me, he said that this was the election that we need to preserve democracy. One of his important quotes was that this election is the most important in modern history. In response to our unprecedented set of crises, we have to fight for democracy and decency against greed and oligarchy and authoritarianism. And I mean that's classic Bernie, very strong in his opinion. And I think overall he said, I wasn't surprised that he endorsed Bernie. Of course, he's going to endorse Bernie, but I like that he brought up that he doesn't necessarily agree with with Biden. I thought it was good that he said he doesn't agree with all of his points, but he knows that Biden will help us get to a better place in history. So one of those things he said was, while I disagree with Joe about his universal health care plan, he has a plan. And so I thought that was important too. Although there is this division in our society and even political parties and even within each political party, I thought it was important to try and unite those. So also another important Bernie quote of the night, if I can find it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bernie, I'll say this, Sophie, and I think that Bernie was really, really energetic tonight. I think he was very clear that though I don't agree with Joe on every level, and what I think people take away, and I'm into subliminals. So I think in the same time I was talking about some of the rhetoric on one side. On this side, what you saw is everybody, no one said that they agreed with everything Joe said. And I think that's monumental. And it kind of speaks to the nature of the party. When you have a party with such a big tent that has to include people that believe so many different things from different backgrounds, you really look at one side and they just think one way, and they all think if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. If you don't agree with Trump, you're wrong. It's like, that's crazy. What you heard tonight was John Kasich saying, I don't agree with Joe on every level, but I've known him. I know his character. I believe in this, and that I'm going to give him my vote. You heard Bernie Sanders say the same thing. Me and Joe don't believe fundamentally everything the same. We're not the same people. However, I believe that he has the best interest. And I think people are going to rally behind. Bernie is a fireball. People love his policies and love what he stood for. And I absolutely believe that people are going to stand behind him.
Okay.
Welcome to how we do it.
Right.
Enlighten us.
So I mean, speaking about like unifying people, Senator Klobuchar did a really good speech about, what unifying means. She did start with a good joke about, Trump might hate the postal service, but he's still gonna have to send to them when he changes his address. That was just a nice joke to start off her her speech. Yeah. But like I said, she spoke a lot about unifying people. And she said unifying is not about settling, it's about striving for more. And it's not the end, it's the means to an end. So I thought that was really important that she's saying, we're not, when we are trying to unify the people, we're not trying to say, okay, everyone, like, this is just what it's going to be like. Everyone has to settle. It's like, no, we have to elevate everything in our society. And she says that the president is who needs to unite the people and to act justly. And so she, once again, I don't think anyone could forget this, but she reminded about the deep experience that Biden has within the within the White House, and within politics. And she once again said that she joyfully backed Biden, which she did when she first dropped out of the race. So that was a nice, like, full circle moment where she said, like, she expressed how much she still supports Joe Biden and his policies.
I think that point, one, I was cracking up laughing when she said, may hit the USPS, but I'm going to leave them alone. They're going to have to process your form, sir. But I think her speech, along with the video that they played with all 50,000 Democratic candidates that we had this year, but really highlighting their different reasons for running and their different reasons on policies and different decisions. But that at the heart of it, they all felt like they needed to do something. And so I think that their kind of united we stand mantra in that video, along with her speech, were very poignant. How did you feel about kind of her speech along with some of the other candidates' comments? How did they tie together for you, or did they tie together for you?
I feel like they tied together very well because, throughout the entire thing, it was a lot of this, like, vote for your country and support your country and not your party. And we saw that with all of the long-term Republicans that were saying that they were no longer voting Republican, or even Kasich saying that he was supporting Joe Biden instead of Donald Trump. And so I feel like her message on unity, that, we don't have to settle for one party or another. We can unite our beliefs to reach even more and to, strive for better. And one of the things she said was out of many, one, and that should be like our Northern Star to how we should, get our government to. And I thought that was also, I thought she was really, like, well-spoken, and she was, like, very, like, warm.
Awesome. I feel like that's always kind of a state of being for her. She always kind of came with the zinger statements, but she probably gives great hugs.
Yeah.
Who else did you?
That's one way to think about it.
I'm just saying. Who else did you get to cover, Sophie?
I also had Governor Andrew Cuomo. Oh. And so he has become very well known for his, handling of the New York response to the coronavirus, being, as he said in the beginning of his speech, it was the ground zero kind of the response, and it was the highest rates of cases and highest deaths, and now it's one of the lowest, if not the lowest, in the country. And so, I mean, his speech was, like, very well put together, professional, which I guess he got his practice from his daily COVID meetings that he had every single day for months at a time. But with his, recent connection to coronavirus and his handling of that, he did make a good metaphor for our government and how that fits in with the coronavirus. And one quote he has was, "Only a strong body can fight off the virus, and Americans' divisions weaken it. Donald Trump did not create the initial division. The division was created the division created Trump. He only made it worse. And so I thought that was pretty powerful, because, you know, he's saying that our body as America has become weak through all the division and all the racism, and Trump has made that worse and has weakened us, just as the coronavirus has and does to people who are infected. And he continually criticized President Trump with his handling of the coronavirus, which we heard throughout the night. You know, calling his leadership within the coronavirus response incompetent, because, you know, for a while it was denying of the coronavirus pandemic, and then it switched to ignoring it, and then now, you know, it's very politicized. And so I will say, once again, we come back to this idea of we need strong leadership that we heard throughout the night, and once again, voting not necessarily with your party but for America. And Cuomo said, Americans' eyes have been opened, and we have seen it in this crisis the truth. The government matters and leadership matters. So once again, he's just putting this idea that, you know, we need a strong leader. And he even goes on to say that Joe Biden is American tough, and he is what we need to restore the soul of America, which I thought was a very poetic way of saying he endorses him and thinks he would be a great leader.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. And I heard Andrew Cuomo every single day for you know, from forever. It seems like the whole day. And I just, you know, but I think the interesting thing is Donald Trump said on Friday that he believed that he could turn New York, which I think is really interesting, because I think it's either delusion or just a real denial of just any truth that doesn't exist in his head. Because I don't think that there's lots of people that are denying science. There's a lot of people that are all over the place with their beliefs. COVID is fake. COVID is not this. COVID is not this. One thing that I've said on my show consistently, and one thing that I tell people, I live across the street from a hospital, right? So I live across the street from a hospital in New York City, and I experienced this. I think one of the things that even kept me in the house is me actually being outside as I saw in a mobile morgue a body being tossed around inside of there. And I think the trauma that people, especially in New York, saw because we were hit so hard. There's no way people here, people come here crazy. We will report you immediately, because we're not trying to go back. It's just not. It was bizarre. It's not. You can't. It's the old adage that you really can't unconvince someone of something that they've lived through. It's just, there's no way that you can do that. And so I think that aside from having people that believe in science against whatever's happening over there, I think one of the main issues is going to be people that are truly educated. And I think one of the things that you see often is that Trump really struggles with college-educated white women, struggles extremely with college-educated white women, college-educated Black women. Those are at the top of the numbers that he really struggles with. I could speculate why that is, but I'm gonna leave it there. I'll just say that he struggles with college age white, and he just struggles in the numbers and connecting with them, because there's really it's really hard to convince somebody when you have no sources and no facts and no truth that you're telling the truth. I think that's where we suffer. And so far be it from me. I don't think that I'm somebody that in what I do, I say ignorant a lot. I say unlearned a lot, because I think people should attain knowledge. And I think that's something that you should do. The Democrats can't do that. They need people that are ignorant and unlearned to vote for them, just like everybody else does. They need everybody. And so I think there's a bit of a conundrum there, because people often, educated people sometimes, disparage other people and make them ostracize them because they feel like they're not smart enough to understand, or people kind of get stuck in these bubbles. So there's so many things, there's so many underlying things that we'll continue to watch. And I think this week is going to show us a lot of things. I'm sort of interested to see the rest of the week. I'm really interested to see next week. And then I'm interested to do on side by sides after that as well. So
agreed. I think that it's key that Cuomo spoke tonight because really, when you look at the numbers, New York is the only one primarily that has plateaued. Everyone else's graphs are kind of doing this
science.
Yeah, things. And New York's just
like we're closed because we don't want you people here.
I don't blame
refusing to wear a mask. Like we just like you can't. I see you. I like no.
I don't blame
but we've for the last 11 days we've reported below 1% of an infection rate. That's not because everybody's walking around maskless. And Jimbo, if you know somebody in New York, well, my cousin lives in New York. He doesn't wear a mask. Let me tell you something. People are wearing we don't. It's that's it.
Keep right on.
Yeah, let's keep it pushing.
I believe you have Sophie, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. I had former First Lady Michelle Obama. And there's just so much that could be said about her. I feel like she always just gives such like a warm and impassioned speech, and she covered so many things that just every time a new sentence, it was just something else, and it was just always perfectly said. It felt like. One of the things that she said was being the president reveals who you are. And I thought that was important because, she has firsthand experience with the presidency, being married to Barack, and being in that situation with him. So she also, from that, she immediately brought up the fact that 4 years ago, there was a large amount of people that didn't vote, whether that be they didn't think their vote mattered or they weren't happy with the candidates at the time. Now we're living with those consequences. So it was kind of a way to start getting the conversation going about, registering to vote, making sure that you vote this upcoming election. And one of the things that she really focused on that I thought was kind of important was she talked about the lack of empathy that's in our leadership now. And that's something that she kind of kept circling back to, was that not even just the lack of empathy in our leadership, although it stems from that, but having kids now grow up in a society where people are screaming in grocery stores for people not wearing their masks, having people call the police on innocent Black people that are strolling down the street that they don't think should be in their neighborhood, the kind of entitlement and greed that is in our society. And all of this comes, she said, from this lack of empathy that people have. So overall, we are underperforming policy and character. And I thought that was a very important thing for her to say. But she said herself that her main takeaway from her entire speech was that America will and can get worse if we don't do anything to change it. And that, the sign of empathy is doing something, even if it doesn't affect you. So it's up to us to use our voices and our votes to, change history and to, play an active part in that. And so I thought she did a great job. Always a great orator, in my opinion. And those were some of her main points. Like I said, she covered so many different things, but basically she was encouraging people to use their voices and their votes now and in the upcoming election.
Which is so important. I think that not only your voice, but at the polls and your vote at the poll, but your voice to your friends. And education is key. Information is key. Knowledge is key. And as usual, Michelle Obama did not disappoint. I think that she's going to have a significant voice for a lot of people that connect with her in so many different ways. And I'm excited about seeing it. So I think we have a clip from Michelle O. And we'll share that. And Sophie, excellent reporting. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
I know Joe. He is a profoundly decent man, guided by faith. He was a terrific vice president. He knows what it takes to rescue an economy, beat back a pandemic, and lead our country. And he listens. He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team. And he will govern as someone who's lived a life that the rest of us can recognize.
Wow.
Well said. For people that don't know Joe, which I don't know, listen, Joe has been in, and I say this a lot, I'm not really with the establishment conversation, but he's been in politics, in United States politics since 1973. So, like, that's 2 of my lifetimes. People, okay, kind of. You know, people know Joe, but I think Michelle Obama, people are really grateful to see her tonight.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it was important for her to just remind people of those connections that she has with Joe, and saying like that she knows who he is as a person. But I like that she didn't focus her entire speech around that, because I think it gave her like more credibility in a way, because she wasn't just like, oh, this was my husband's vice president, so I have to like him. It was kind of like, this is what's happening in our country, and this is why Joe should be the one to take the presidency next.
Yeah, I like her distinction too, because, a lot of times not a lot of times, let me not make that generalization. She has been criticized for saying, when they go low, we go high. And she even made some clarifications for that, saying, let's be clear, going high does not mean putting a smile and saying nice things when being confronted by viciousness and cruelty. Going high means taking a harder path. And I think that in politics, often you have to take the harder path, especially when you face different situations. You're coming into a recession. You are coming in with policies that folks are unsure of because of your voting history on those policies. So I think that this, no matter what, the next 4 years will definitely be a harder path. We're just trying to, I think, all make it a little bit easier than maybe the last 4 years. So
hopefully so.
Hopefully so. That's goals. Sophie, what are you hoping or planning? I'll say hoping. What are you hoping to see the rest of this week from the DEM convention?
I don't know. I think today was a really good starting point, because I feel like it kind of was just enough to get people who maybe aren't as familiar with watching the DNC to kind of pull them in and say, this is the format. It's different than usual, but this is how it'll go. So I guess I'm looking forward to just hearing from more people that didn't necessarily, that might have run against Joe, or might have not always aligned with his policies, but kind of show him support and say like why they think he is the best to be president next.
That makes sense. Awesome. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you.
Why don't you let the folks know how they can get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me by adding me on Facebook or follow my Instagram at the bottom of the screen.
Awesome. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you.
So I think that, heavy hitters there. We had Bernie Sanders, Klobuchar, my forever First Lady, Michelle Obama, with a lot of really clear, to the point discussion points. So I'm interested in Kenya. I'm going to bring Kenya back. Kenya, what are your final thoughts and maybe some things that you hope to see or hear as we continue to go through the rest of the week with the DEM convention?
My final thoughts are that, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, it was 2 questions in one. So let me sum it up. I guess one, what are any final thoughts on opening night? And then what do you hope to see as we go through the rest of the week?
Okay, well, I actually agree with Sophie. Like, as far as the opening night, like I said before, I think they did great. I think the production was pretty great, being that this is probably the first time this has had to happen like that in that format because we're fighting a global pandemic. But as far as what we should see, as far as what I'm looking forward to see um, over these next couple of days is that I'm ready to see more people come out and speak on Joe and Kamala and just put some more hope out there for the future of America. One thing I would like to see is hopefully more people in my age group can get involved in this because I think this event is actually very informative and there's still a big group of people in my age group that still are kind of like 50-50 about voting and everything. So I think that this event will definitely, if they will tune in, I think that this event will definitely change their minds on voting.
Interesting. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that. Can you let folks know how they can get in touch with you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at ken.nicole, spelled Nacolle. See it right down there.
Awesome. So I really think that Kenya just made some important points. It's going to take getting, again, people to believe, people to vote, and people to believe that their vote matters, among other things. So very interesting. Also interested to hear Lydia's final thoughts. So Lydia, why don't you give us your final thoughts on opening night and what you're hoping to hear or see for the rest of the week?
Yes, like the other correspondents said, I do believe that it was a great start to the convention, especially in the virtual format. And I'm hoping to hear more positive feedback or positive outlook on Joe and Kamala Harris as leaders. And I want to hear more people explain that differences are not a bad thing. Just because you are a part of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, that doesn't mean anything when it comes down to morals and doing what's right for everyone. Because when you are the leader of everyone, of both parties. It doesn't matter what it is. You know what I mean? You are the leader of all parties. So you have to know how to deal with those differences and how to encourage change and different perspectives when leading the country. And that's what I want to hear. And just more information on the issues that Biden is running on, and so Kamala now, and what her plans actually are when she does get in office, hopefully. So those are my thoughts.
Awesome. I agree. I think that they are definitely both going to have to really firm up some of their policies, get in there, take some action. But I think you bring up a good point that what we need is what we are missing now, more of a unified voice, regardless of political affiliation or any other distinction or social context. Lydia, how can folks keep in touch with you?
Yes, you guys can follow me on Instagram at _lotusflower_17.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lydia. Alex, I don't know about you, but it has been a day of interesting information, and the night went by quickly, honestly. The 2 hours of focused kind of speakers and all of that just flew right on by. But I know we've got another full week of this. What are your final thoughts and what you're looking for?
There's been a movement that believes that America's past conventions and that It's really time to do something else. And so that was really the narratives surrounding the 2016 convention. And a lot of people were really kind of just frustrated with what they saw. The pandemic has brought a new type of convention to the forefront. And so I'm hoping that it serves its purpose, which is to really excite the base. And I'm hoping that both conventions actually do what they are designed to do. Another comment I heard tonight was that someone felt like they were at employee orientation for Home Depot, which, I mean, take Home Depot out and put anyone else in. I get it. And so like I said, there were certain pieces that I tuned my ears were piqued, and I was more interested in. And I think I am the American. I am the person that they need to be focused on reaching. And so I think there's bits and pieces in it that are going to resonate with different people. Everything should not resonate with you. Don't be one of those people that I feel that and I feel that, and you have a lot of feelings. That's great. But I don't know. I think I am optimistic that they are going to bring the heat. Most people want to see Joe Biden speak, and they want to see what he's going to do. And a lot of people don't feel like any aspect of it will be live, and it's virtual. It shouldn't have to be. So, I mean, I won't be dogging it. One side will definitely be dragging with him being elected. I think that as long as he has a team and people that he trusts, that we as Americans trust, I think that he's a contender, and I think that we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Interesting. I think that for me, again, opening night, interesting. I look forward to seeing what the rest of the week has in store. I look forward to I'm hoping for some balance over the next 2 weeks so that we can have a good balanced perspective and balanced conversation after both conventions occur. And I really hope that through this week and even through next week, that folks really begin to peel back the layers of the racism and the hatred and the bigotry and the sexism and everything else that's really causing divisiveness in this country, and begin to really just look at each other and view each other as people, as human beings, as families, as someone's brother, someone's sister, mother, father, cousin, uncle, aunt, whatever. We all are humans trying to live out this experience, trying to make it through a pandemic. And regardless of political affiliation, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, or anything else, at the end of the day, we're all just humans having a lived experience, trying to make it through. So I'm hoping that really begins to come out and shine through this week as we continue to hear all of the speakers.
I'm really happy that you're hopeful. I'm not. Like I said, I'm optimistic. I don't really see that happening. Probably not in my lifetime, but at least not in the next, 2 election cycles. And I don't really put my hope in a president to heal the nation like that. I think the people have to do it. Yeah. So
I agree.
It's
definitely up to we the people. It's up to we the people. And if we don't get anything else from tonight, from this convention, I think we the people was an excellent statement to carry.
I'll say this last thing, and I think it's again, like I said, the focus for the Dems seemed to be unity. And I think whether they agreed with each other, the focus was we're going to stick together. I think that they believe that America can become the greatest nation on earth, but it can't be that if we are at each other this way. And I without them saying it, I hear it. I believe that. For people that have lived experiences, you can, whether like people want to deny systematic racism and oppression and, whatever it is that you're denying, if you won't open your ears and listen to other people, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it when they say it, and you're going to miss it when they don't understand why you won't understand why they can't gloat about this being the best country on earth, because they don't feel that. And you want to, you know, and I think that also will bring unity when people get to the point of where they are focusing on other people feeling what they feel. And so many people don't want to, you know, and I get it. So we'll see. We're back here tomorrow. Hopefully it ends on time at 11. If it does, we'll be back here right after. If it doesn't, as soon as it ends, we'll be here. More correspondents and people watching. And you, as you're following it tomorrow, make sure you use the hashtag Showdown 2020. We want to get your comments on. We'll add them into the show and, of course, share them. If you heard something that you liked tonight, make sure you share this broadcast. You can share it with your friends wherever you see it, wherever you find it. Go back. It will be available inside of the Black News Alerts app. So if you have that app, download it now. If you don't have it, download it now. If you have the app, you can watch it.
Awesome.
I've been up almost 24 hours, so it's time.
Listen, it's time. Folks, keep up with you, Alex.
Don't. Be back here tomorrow.
That's it. That's all we're going. That does it for us.
That's it.
I am Tiffany Linnell.
I'm Alex Haynes.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Make sure you tune into us tomorrow night and Wednesday night and Thursday night. And make sure you are tuning into the Democratic National Convention, again, on our apps, Boss FM and Black News Alerts. And that's going to do it for us. Good
See you tomorrow.
night.